Welcome to another edition of the Go Noles podcast. I am your host, Gregory McCoy. This podcast is by a fan for fans. I am not a journalist. I am not a reporter. I am not an insider. I do not work for a website. The majority of my content comes from me, in my opinion. Other information comes from the internet. All right, so the throw to the end zone at the end of the game, I understand that you're being aggressive. I respect that. But you're throwing to Micah Pittman, who I've given kudos to. He could be a Deebo Samuel clone. But how many times have you seen San Francisco throw jump balls to Deebo Samuel? Never. So I understand that you threw that back fade, but you know they was looking for that because you scored on it earlier in the game. So I just didn't understand the thinking there. I could live with a missed field goal in that situation. I could live with a missed field goal because I said one of these games this year is going to come down to Fitzgerald. And he's either going to make it or miss it. And the percentages say he was going to make it because he made that one earlier in the game. So I just think it was just no points in the second half, Coach Norvell. And you call the plays. That's on you. It's your job to put the players in positions to score touchdowns. You have to know your personnel. I don't think you know your personnel, Coach Norvell. I really don't. Because you kept running that little read option dive play up the middle. It worked a couple of times. But when you lost the running back that runs it best, Trayshawn Ward, you didn't adapt, you didn't adjust. And football is a game of adjustments. And give NC State, again, all the credit in the world. They made the adjustments. You scored 0 points in the second half. And Florida State does not have time to raise a coach, bro. This is not the type of program that we are. Okay, go back to Memphis. If you need to be raised on the job and you can't make a coach has to make the right decision 100% of the time. In that situation, you had to know that NC State was playing the touchdown. They wanted the game to be in the kicker's hands, per se. Like I said in the instant reaction. Okay, so to me, if you're saying I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to go for the touchdown, run a safe play, not a running play, because they're looking for the run. Okay, run a screen. Run a little run. You could have did like a double wheel route with your running backs out the backfield. And you could have did something like that. Tua Philly scored on that against Clemson last year. I haven't seen you run that to Tua Philly this year. Okay? And just you're not taking advantage of the skill set that Micah Pittman brings to the table. If you can't see that this guy's a Deebo Samuel potential, Deebo Samuel clone, you don't. Do you think you should be the head coach of this team? Okay, you have a 6'7" receiver. You want to be aggressive and go for the win, but you don't throw him the jump ball. I don't understand it. Help me out. I need a lot of help understanding some of the play calls that, went on in that game last week. You know, the runs, you had a couple of, breakout runs, but like I said earlier, large in part, the running game didn't really work. Like I said, you just need more creativity on offense. I think, like I said, use Pittman like Debo. Get Tua Philly involved in the screen game, traditional screen game. I think he's a dynamic player. He can be if you use him right. I just don't think you can use talent as an excuse. Now, I think you have enough talent on this team to beat anybody on the schedule. I think you have to know your personnel. You have to know situational football. And you just have to make good decisions. And that's coaching. The coaching is not up to par at this point. And, I'm not saying we need a new coach, but he's got to improve, man. You have to, NC State was playing the touchdown. They wanted you to kick the field goal because everybody in the world, again, as I previously stated, knows that you don't have confidence in Fitzgerald. The last thing you should do is put the ball in the air like that. If you hell-bent on throwing a football, do a screenplay. Do a high percentage play that in all likelihood is not going to result in a turnover. So I really put these last two losses on the coaching staff. I just think you got out-coached the last 2 weeks, period. But the defense actually played very well to hold, that offense of NC State's with that quarterback to a touchdown and 4 or 5 field goals. What more can you ask for? The defense came to play, and they played well. The offense didn't show up. I just feel like you have an offensive coordinator, let him call plays. Because your offensive play calling is very stale and predictable. The Clemson game this week, I don't think we got a chance. Better coach, better talent, and you really gonna have to pull some rabbits out of your hat like that special teams play. That was a great call. Okay, that special teams play where Pittman faked the return and Pokey Wilson caught it and ran up the sideline. That was a phenomenal call. You need more plays like that, particularly on offense. I'm not saying gadget plays, just more creativity. You have weapons. Okay? I feel like your best running play is that tight end trap play where the tight end is lined up right behind the tackle or right off the tackle and he goes in motion and he basically traps the defensive tackle. I don't remember seeing that play one time in this game. I don't know if I said that earlier in the podcast, but I don't remember seeing that play at all. So I think Tua Philly would be nice in the screen game. They tried a couple screens. They just couldn't get them off. They tried a couple of tunnel screens to Pittman. It just didn't work for whatever reason. I think you have to use Jordan Travis's legs a little bit more. I think if this was last year and that final play where we threw the interception, I think last year Jordan Travis would have took off and run. And he has to get back to that. I know he's trying to prove himself as an elite passer. He's trying to get to that level. But the name of the game is winning games. We don't really care about, I really don't care about your draft stock. I really don't care about your stats. I just want to win. And
I think he's improved tremendously, but I just think that coaching staff can't put the game in his hands. I don't think he's at that level yet. I think you need to protect him from himself, because that final play, man, it was too much air up under that ball. It was triple coverage. You gave the DB virtually an eternity to run up under that pick. Too much air up under that ball, man. And then you're throwing it to a 6-foot receiver on a good day. Okay? And you're throwing a jump ball to him. Not the 6'7" guy, the 6-foot guy. I don't agree with that play call at all. And, like I said, Clemson better coached. Dabo Swinney, very aware of situational football. This game can get away from you very fast. Okay, you're going against the best defensive line in the ACC. That little read option draw play that you like to run so much, that's not going to be there. You're going to have to be a little bit more creative on offense. Like, you're going to have to get Marquise and Douglas out in space as a lead blocker and let those running backs run behind him. The offensive line is improved, but again, nobody's a rhino on that offensive line. If anything, you got maybe, a couple of Rams. No pun intended. You have no rhinos. They can move people a little bit, but they're not moving people like Georgia and Alabama, Ohio State. They're not moving people off the ball like that. So, I think you just need to really sit down and evaluate what you're doing on offense. Are you a running team? Or are you a passing team? Okay, or you can be multiple. But I don't need Jordan Travis going out here throwing for 300 yards. Let him get some easy throws. And I just think, like I said, a lot of your offensive gurus out there, they have egos. They say, I can make a square peg fit into a round hole. And that nonsense has cost us the last 2 weeks. The first half against Wake Forest, you didn't have no answers for the read option. Mesh, delayed read option mesh. This week, no creativity on offense. Defense came to play. Played a good game. No creativity on offense. And those two things, you think Dabo is not going to exploit that this week? You don't think he's going to exploit that? And I guarantee you, Clemson's just going to come out and run the football. They're going to challenge you right up the middle. Because it's been there. It's been there all season, really. So, and they did better against the run against NC State, but you still soft up the middle. So, until you get that corrected, I mean, if I'm Dabo, why do I need to throw the football? I got one of the best running backs in the country. I got one of the best offensive lines in the country. I'm just going to run it up the middle. Make them stop it. Take time off the clock, shorten the game, keep Jordan Travis in that offense on the sidelines, and, win a 17-3 type game. That's really what it's going to come down to. Then you got one of the best defensive lines in the ACC. So, and you're not moving those guys. Wake Forest couldn't move those guys. I think Wake Forest probably had about 80 yards rushing on them. Something like that. You probably won't get that. You'll be lucky if you have 50 with our offensive line. 50. If you're trying to run that power football type running game, you'll be lucky if you have 50 yards. So, last year's game against Clemson, Kenny Dillingham was very creative with getting to a Philly on the wheel route, and there was just more creativity on offense. And you can just see without him being there, there's is stale and abysmal and predictable. And, I just think maybe you just need a new guy calling plays.
This coaching staff has to do better in terms of situational football. Just knowing the situation. There's a difference between being aggressive and being stupid. And that last throw, why are you making that throw? You're in a position to win the game. Okay? You have to go conservative there. You have to know the situation. Okay? I think most fans could live with a missed field goal in that situation. I think most fans could. We realize that, a lot of games might come down to a field goal. If you understand football and you're not just watching as a fan, I think a real fan knows that some games are going to come down to a field goal. And it's a chance that he's going to make it, and it's a chance that he's not going to make it. And you gave that game away. To score no points in the second half is absolutely unexcusable. It's unexcusable. And I give the blame to the players, but I mostly give it to the coaching staff, offensive coaching staff, because it's your job to score points, to get your players in a position to score points. Excuse me. And NC State, give them credit, man. Give their coaching staff credit. Give their players credit. They made the adjustments to keep you off the scoreboard in the second half. And you couldn't adjust to their adjustments. And that's inexcusable. You have to know the strengths and weaknesses of your personnel. And I really don't feel like they do. Because just through these first 6 games, I can tell you right now, we don't have a power offensive line. But yet you keep running power run plays. Okay? Your best offensive run play is when Douglas is the lead blocker or he's trapping. That's your best run play. And if you're going to run the football, I understand that. But I think you have to have a lead blocker. Okay? Your offensive line is not getting any push. Okay? And NC State was running a 3-man line. And you wasn't getting no push. Most of the run yards that you're getting is because of the talent that the running backs have. So, you got to make some adjustments. You have to make some adjustments to your play calling. You have to make some adjustments to the personnel that you're putting out there. Marqueston Douglas has to be a lead blocker. I want him to have more pancakes than receptions. That's what I need from him. And, I just, that last play, that borders, that play there, bro, that almost rivals the icing the kicker against Notre Dame last season. One play a game, this coach, Mike Norvell, is going to make a bonehead call. It never fails. Once a game, you're going to be scratching your head like, why the hell did he call that? And I'm not trying to hear this crap about, the receiver got rerouted and all this crap. You had the ball on the 23-yard line, I believe. Okay? If you're going to go for the win, you have to run a safe play. You almost lost the LSU game doing stupid plays, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just I'm just saying, you made a bad call. Accept responsibility for it. Don't make excuses. I hate that. You lost, Mike Norvell. You lost some points with me with that. Cause you know the players are the chess pieces, and you're making the moves. You're making the calls offensively. You made that call. And it was a boneheaded call. It was a boneheaded throw. Okay? Period. Accept responsibility. I made a dumbass call. Just say that. Don't sit here and say, they were playing man and the receiver got rerouted. Hogwash. That's the kind of stuff that as a fan makes me mad. When coaches do stupid stuff and don't take responsibility for it. And talent is not an issue. Like I said earlier on in this podcast, talent is not the issue this year. You got enough talent on this team to be special. Now the coaching is getting exposed, or lack thereof. It's really coming to the forefront now. Because at least once a game, it's just like somebody's making some dumb calls, whether it's on offense or defense. And you the head coach, the buck stops with you. So everything that happens on the field, I hold you responsible for. So, look, man, I don't have you winning this week. I don't have you winning this week. Better players, better coach. Okay. I got Clemson this week. I felt like during this 3 games, and forget this 3-game stretch. Let's just look at the rest of the season. I'm trying to figure out where 2 more wins gonna come from. Because Syracuse is playing well. They undefeated. Louisiana is no slouch. Okay. Florida and Miami rivalry games. Georgia Tech is on the come up. So where your wins coming from? Just help me understand that. You have to make better decisions in games. You have to. Okay, your kicker had already hit a 47-yarder. You don't trust him to make something 40 or less now? Like I said earlier, I could live with a missed field goal in that situation. I could live with that. I can't live with a jump ball to Michael Pittman. I can't live with that. That ball that finally had so much air up under it. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Methuselah could have ran up under that and caught that, man. But I'm just saying, if you're going to be aggressive and say, okay, we're not going to put it in the kicker's hands, run a screenplay right there. Okay, go 5 wide and do quarterback draw. Or quarterback off tackle. Or something to that effect. Run a safe play. The likelihood, listen, I said this earlier on in this podcast. NC State wanted you to kick the field goal. They wanted it on the kicker. They're playing touchdown. You have to know that. Every Florida State fan in this world had to know that they wanted you to try to kick the field goal to win the game because they know you don't have confidence in your kicker. And you know what I'm saying? You did exactly what they thought you was going to do. Go for the touchdown. So I'm just saying, help me understand it. What justifies that call? How do you make that call? How do you say, and you don't even throw the jump ball to Johnny Wilson? Okay? You throw it to Michael Pittman, who he's a smaller receiver. He can be rerouted. He's a strong guy. He's a tough guy. But he is more easily rerouted than Johnny Wilson. Okay? If you throw a jump ball to 6'7" Johnny Wilson and it gets intercepted, I can live with that. If you would have threw a jump ball to the other guy, number 11, all right? His name escapes me. The 6'4" wide receiver, the young dude. I can live with that. Okay? But you don't throw a jump ball to a small receiver unless it's Tyreek Hill, somebody that can jump out the gym. Even then, I'm not gonna throw a jump ball to Tyreek Hill. Because he's small, he can be rerouted. But it would have to be a small receiver with just some extraordinary jumping ability. I mean, he would have to have like a 60-inch vertical. And Michael Pittman doesn't have that. Great receiver, great route runner, great hands, great speed, but he is not a jump ball receiver. And that was a boneheaded call. Period. You got to own that, Coach Novell. You have to own that. Sitting here making excuses, no, man. No, I know that you have to put on that face that, to justify that call, but it was a boneheaded call, man. Simple and plain. Plain and simple. All right, and now, like I said, you got Clemson coming to town. And the game plan for Clemson is very simple. We're going to run the football right down your throat. We're gonna test your manhood early to see what you're made of. And Clemson, this is not Clemson's best offensive line, but they've still got one of the better offensive lines in this conference. If not one, definitely two. So they're going to test you. And Will Shipley runs hard. So, like I said, I see Will Shipley going for at least 100 yards. At least. You couldn't stop him last year. So I'm just trying to figure out where are the points coming from. And really, those special team plays you should have saved for this week. You showed your hand on that. So Clemson's going to be prepared for that. Right? So, I don't know. The defense actually played very well. Like I said earlier on, they played very well. It's just, I don't know, man. I got Clemson 31-17. I think the offense gonna make some plays. Look at last year's tape, Coach Norvell, and look what Dillingham did with Tua Philly. Got him out in space on the wheel route. You got to run plays like that. Micah Pittman, I'm thinking about his dad, is a chess piece that you could just. I'm not a football guru, an offensive football guru. You know more football than I do, but it just seems to me that you could do so much with Micah Pittman. You could let him run the read option. You could put him in the backfield. You can put him in motion and do little pitch plays to him. You could do all kinds of stuff, but you're not doing that. And like I said, you got Cam McDonald. I mean, I don't know. Talent, you can't use the lack of talent as an excuse this year. I think you have enough talent to be special this year. And it's not too late. The season ain't over. You can still salvage, you know what I'm saying? You can still stop this house from burning down. So, I mean, if we could win this week, it would be worth it. If you say you gonna lose to Wake Forest, lose NC State, but beat Clemson, I'll take that. But it's just really disappointing that the last 2 weeks, to me, we've lost because of bad coaching. So, I've pretty much beaten a dead horse here. So I'm gonna go ahead and, wrap this up, man. Thank you for listening. Podcast available on YouTube. Podcast available on all podcast platforms. Again, thank you for listening. As always, go Noles.